You can fake confidence. You can buy intelligence. You can even mimic kindness for a little while. But emotional maturity? That's the one thing you can't pretend to have. It doesn't announce itself with loud words or dramatic gestures. It's not something you scream into the world. In fact, emotional maturity is quiet. It's still. But it changes everything. It's the invisible foundation beneath true power, genuine relationships, and long-term peace. And once you have it, nothing can shake you the same way again. So how do you know you've stepped into this level of strength? What are the signs that you've evolved beyond emotional chaos and into something deeper, something calmer, something unshakable? Let's start with the first of 12 signs. And as we go, don't just listen to these. Feel them. Recognize them. Because if they resonate, you might be further ahead than you think. 1. You no longer need to win every argument. In the past, you felt a rush when proving someone wrong. Your ego fed on victory, on being the loudest or the most logical. But now, you've learned that peace is better than proving a point. Emotional maturity teaches you that sometimes, walking away is a sign of strength, not weakness. You've realized that not every battle is worth your energy, and that your inner calm is more valuable than someone else's opinion of you. You don't always have to explain yourself. Your self-worth doesn't hinge on being understood. 2. You've made peace with your past. You no longer carry your childhood wounds like armor. You don't blame your parents for everything. You don't resent your exes or your former friends. Why? Because you've done the uncomfortable work. You've sat with the pain instead of running from it. You've processed the shame, the grief, the regret, and come out stronger. Emotional maturity doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means owning it, learning from it, and choosing not to let it define who you are now. You've realized that healing isn't a straight line. It's a decision you keep making, day after day. 3. You respect boundaries, both yours and others. This one is rare. Most people either let others walk all over them, or they build walls so high no one can get close. But you've found the middle path. You can say no without guilt. You can hear no without anger. You don't manipulate people into staying, and you don't chase them when they leave. You understand that real love, real friendship, real connection comes from mutual respect, not control. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates to protect your peace. And if someone can't respect that, you know it's not your job to teach them. 4. You've stopped outsourcing your happiness. You no longer expect people, jobs, or circumstances to make you feel whole. Emotional maturity means taking full responsibility for your inner world. You've realized that chasing external validation is a losing game. Compliments feel nice, but they don't define you. Achievements are rewarding, but they're not your identity. You've started building joy from within, through purpose, through routine, through growth. You no longer say, "I'll be happy when," because you understand that happiness isn't a destination. It's a state of being, a byproduct of alignment, not achievement. 5. You don't react, you respond. This is one of the clearest signs you've evolved. When someone insults you, you don't explode. When life throws a curveball, you don't spiral. Instead, you pause. You breathe. You observe your emotions without letting them control you. That gap, the space between stimulus and response, is where emotional maturity lives. It's what separates the childlike from the self-possessed. You've learned that feelings are real, but they aren't always true. Just because you feel disrespected doesn't mean you were. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you're in danger. You've developed the strength to hold space for your emotions without being ruled by them. 6. You can celebrate others without jealousy. This one is subtle, but powerful. When you see someone else succeed, you don't immediately compare or shrink. You don't ask, "Why not me?" Instead, you say, "Good for them." Because you understand that someone else's light doesn't dim yours. You've stopped treating life like a zero-sum game. Their wins don't mean your loss. In fact, their success shows you what's possible. Emotional maturity means trading envy for inspiration, comparison for curiosity. You cheer for others, not because you need to, but because you want to. Because you're finally secure enough to know that what's meant for you won't miss you. These are just the first 6 signs, and already you can feel the shift. Because emotional maturity isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming grounded, clear, conscious. It's the difference between surviving life and mastering it. There's something quietly powerful about emotional maturity. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't seek attention. And yet, its presence transforms everything it touches. When you've done the inner work, the world doesn't just look different. It feels different. You walk slower, speak softer, and choose your battles wisely. Why? Because you're no longer driven by the need to prove anything. You've outgrown the noise. You've grown into yourself. Let's continue with the remaining signs, the ones that show you just how far you've come, and maybe how much further you're capable of going. 7. You take responsibility instead of assigning blame. It's easy to point fingers, easy to say, "They hurt me," or "This happened to me." But emotional maturity demands more than victimhood. It demands accountability. You've learned that while you may not control what happens, you always control how you respond. Instead of obsessing over who's at fault, you focus on what's within your power. You ask, what can I learn? What can I change? This isn't about self-blame. It's about self-leadership. The immature wait for life to be fair. The mature build strength in the face of unfairness. 8. You're not easily offended. When you're emotionally reactive, every opinion feels like an attack. Every disagreement becomes a war. But when you're emotionally mature, you don't crumble at criticism or need constant validation to feel secure. You've built enough self-awareness to separate your identity from your ego. Someone disagrees? That's okay. Someone misunderstands you? That's their right. You don't spiral, you don't panic, because you've realized that being offended isn't always a reflection of truth. It's often a reflection of emotional fragility, and you've chosen strength over sensitivity. 9. You know how to sit with discomfort. Most people run from discomfort, numbing it with distractions, relationships, or constant busyness. But not you. Emotional maturity means turning toward the uncomfortable feelings and sitting in silence with them. You don't rush to escape sadness. You don't bury your fears. You feel them. You understand that discomfort is a portal to growth, that healing requires honesty, that peace isn't found by avoiding the storm, but by learning how to stand in it without collapsing. The emotionally immature chase pleasure, the mature chase truth. 10. You seek depth over drama. You don't have the appetite for chaos anymore. You've outgrown toxic conversations, shallow relationships, and constant emotional roller coasters. You no longer find excitement in dysfunction. You crave peace, stillness, depth. You'd rather have one honest conversation than 100 meaningless ones. You've realized that real connection requires vulnerability, not volume. And so, you've learned to protect your energy, because you now know that what you consume emotionally becomes part of who you are, and you're no longer available for emotional junk food. 11. You've learned how to forgive without reopening the door. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You've come to understand this deeply. Emotional maturity means you can let go of the resentment without inviting the person back into your life. You forgive for your own peace, not because they deserve it. You don't need closure from others. You give it to yourself. Forgiveness becomes a gift you offer you, not them. And with that freedom comes clarity. You've stopped keeping score because you're no longer playing the same game. 12. You live in alignment with your values, even when it's hard. This is perhaps the ultimate mark of emotional maturity. Integrity. Not the kind you talk about, but the kind you live. When your actions align with your values, when your decisions reflect your principles, especially when no one's watching, that's real power. You don't betray yourself for approval. You don't compromise your truth for temporary comfort. You've learned that inner peace is built through congruence. And so, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's lonely, you choose what's right over what's easy. So, if these signs resonate, if you've seen yourself in these truths, then something extraordinary is happening. You're evolving. Not just aging, not just surviving, evolving. Emotional maturity isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming real. It's the unglamorous, difficult, often invisible work of showing up for yourself, even when no one else claps. And those who choose this path, they become unstoppable. Because while others are controlled by triggers, by fear, by chaos, you are anchored. And in a world that profits off your instability, your emotional maturity becomes rebellion. So the next time someone asks, "Why are you so calm?" you'll know the truth. You're not just calm, you're in control, not of the world, but of yourself. And that, right there, is the quietest kind of power. If this video made you pause, reflect, or even recognize a part of yourself, you're already doing the work. And that deserves acknowledgement. If you're ready for more insights that challenge your thinking, inspire growth, and help you navigate the complexity of modern life with clarity, make sure to subscribe. New videos drop every week, and each one is designed to take you deeper. And remember, evolution doesn't happen in a day, but the moment you choose to grow, everything begins to shift. Until next time, protect your peace and never stop becoming.